And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. We are part of the Collectin' and Connectin', a good vibes community. I'm Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is my co-host Mike Rasinski. And joining us here this evening, I've got my son Jacob Greenberg, and we've also got Mike's son Carter Rasinski. So appreciate everybody being here this evening. How's everybody doing? Carter, how you doing, bud? I guess you're doing it. Wait, let's see. Mic on.
Turn off the mute.
I'm doing good.
All right. So you're doing all right. It's Tuesday. We're making it through the week, right?
Yep.
All right. Excellent. Jacob, how you doing, bud?
Doing good.
Doing good. You making it through the week?
Yep.
You're surviving. Are you not? Are you having any NFL withdrawal syndrome?
Not yet.
Okay. That's good, I suppose. That is definitely good. Mike, how are you tonight, sir?
Yeah, what I'm excited about now is that the Super Bowl's over. We can actually get ready for our Cleveland Super Bowl, which is the draft, the NFL draft. The thing we look forward to every year since we never make the playoffs. Our sense of hope.
It is.
Now we can talk about it because there's no other football to talk about.
Hey, wait a second. Let's not forget about the Columbus Aviators. We got UFL action in the Buckeye State.
The who?
Mike, we got the Columbus Aviators. You didn't even realize, man.
Zero idea.
Ted Ginn Jr. is your coach.
Really?
Yes, sir. We've even got I think he's still on the roster. Clayton Toon.
Is this replacing the XFL? Is this like what is this now? What iteration are we talking about?
Well, Jacob, so there was the XFL and the USFL, and
Correct.
They merged and became the UFL.
Okay.
And they moved some teams. Which team was this one, Jacob? Because you followed it really closely. Which team ended up in Columbus?
I don't think they
Ever stated
announced
specific?
which teams were moving.
Okay,
Because I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I know there was I'm sure there was some kind of almost expansion draft that went on.
Yes. You are correct, sir. I believe you are correct about that.
So I
there were a
believe
few
that
teams
means
that
that
folded
there is,
or moved.
Yes.
So my question
there is no set in stone which teams were.
I gotcha.
Which.
Okay.
So for both Jacob and Carter, my question is: the Columbus Aviators played the Cleveland Browns. Who would win?
The Browns.
Okay. We can actually say that. Come on, Mike. This is ridiculous.
If the Ohio State Buckeyes played the Cleveland Browns, who would win?
The Cleveland
Still
Browns.
the Browns.
Man,
Still the
I
Browns.
don't know about that. What do you think,
Mike,
Carter?
The Browns, because it's still they're so much bigger, more experienced, and they were all drafted. So
Yeah,
right.
The Browns.
Okay.
But
Anyways,
all the players on the Browns were the best at college when they were in it.
Yeah.
Or
then they
allegedly.
get worse. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, okay, enough of that. Sorry.
No. I think that was a good question. That was definitely a good question. All right, but let's close it out. I think we need to have that deep cleansing breath here. Clear out the NFL season. This past Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. The Seahawks and the Patriots allegedly played. I don't know if we really saw a great matchup there. I mean, I shouldn't even say I don't know. I know that was not a good game. It was not a good game at all.
Yeah, to Jacob and Carter, who have not seen as many Super Bowls as Ethan and I have seen, was this the boringest Super Bowl you guys have witnessed in your lives since you've been watching football?
Definitely.
Yeah, Carter, you're saying no. What was a more boring Super Bowl than this one?
The Eagles versus the what's it called, Chiefs.
Last year?
Last year's was pretty boring too.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'd rather see a high-scoring blowout than a low-scoring blowout. If it was a close game all the way through, I think it would have been better. But the Patriots couldn't do anything, and it turned into a low-scoring blowout, which is just never fun.
I was rooting for the shutout, though. I wanted to see the Patriots get shut out. That's what I was going for at the end.
Yeah, I kind of I like that call there, and all of a sudden they score. What was Mike Vrabel thinking? I'd love to know what his thought process was. They're down 19-0. They score a touchdown, and instead of going for 2 to cut it to a 2-11,
Mm-hmm.
A 2-possession game, a touchdown and a touchdown and a field goal, and instead they go for the extra point, and it leaves it at a 12-point game. I know that, Jacob, you and I talked about it. It still was 2 scores, no matter how you
Yeah, and I just think it was a trust thing with Vrabel and the offense. He didn't trust the offense to get the 2 yards at that point in the game.
What does that say about the offense? Interesting. They they were pretty awful.
They were. I mean, I questioned that. I questioned the the genius in what is we've got a great conversation going on here in the comments. I was rooting for Dark Knight Rises, where the football field implodes and collapses, forcing the backup Super Bowl. Okay, this is good. That is good. Okay, wait a second. Oh yeah, I think that there was a discussion here. Seahawks, Broncos. Yes. Hey, Drew Hagenbaum, a man from the Let's Go Crunch podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Back in, I think that was in 2013. That was an absolute joke of a Super Bowl played in New York, and the Broncos got destroyed, just destroyed by the Seahawks. So I guess I wanted to just kind of get some final thoughts or overall thoughts on the game. For me, I kind of felt like the Seahawks offense did just enough, and Sam Darnold avoided mistakes, while the Patriots offensive line was just absolute, garbage. And Drake May looked very mediocre. I said to Jacob, is that Drake May Field back there?
That might be. I think it's a Drake may be trash.
Maybe mid. I don't know. I mean, those are my initial, kind of thoughts, takeaways. Carter, what were your kind of takeaways there?
I feel like he got all of like the hype and stuff just because he was playing absolutely terrible teams. He had to play like it probably doesn't matter like when they played the Broncos,
Right.
because I don't know, like they had a backup quarterback in, which doesn't matter, but for like the regular season and stuff, when everybody was like calling him good and stuff, they were just playing really bad teams with really bad defenses.
They had one of the worst, or one of the easiest schedules, they said, in like the last 25 years, which I think is now getting exposed.
A little bit. And Jacob and I were talking about this, and I started thinking about the Browns in 2023. They weren't, the year before, they weren't so horrible. I forget how many games they won that season with that. That was the crazy year, the first year of Watson, with him suspended for X amount of games. But I think that they benefited a little bit from a weak schedule. You make the playoffs, then it gets significantly more difficult in terms of your, the other divisions, when you have to match up with like first place team, second place team, or so on and so forth, based upon where you were in the standings. I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not going to discredit what New England did, but they look completely outmatched out there. And basically Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, they got emasculated. But
yeah,
it was crazy.
It was nice to see defense wins championships again. It'd been a while since we'd seen something like that, and I think it kind of gives hopes to the Browns a little bit, because we have I know you wanted to get into this, Ethan. I don't know if I'm getting now, but we have the foundation.
Like to add that I think a very important part that I thought definitely in last year's Super Bowl and then this year's was the trenches. The Chiefs and the Patriots both had terrible O-lines against Seattle and Philadelphia's incredible D-lines. And that was a big difference maker in the game. Mahomes and Drake May were sacked a ton in those games.
Yeah, good call. Good point. Mike, finish your thought there. Good. Thank you, Jacob.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have a young, or not much young, but a solid core, a good defense that we can build off of, and I think it just shows if we get some solid, decent offensive play, we could be competitive. Not saying playoffs, not saying Super Bowl, but it could be an interesting team to watch. And I think the Seahawks can kind of lay a blueprint for the Browns of how they could go about this rebuild.
What I heard today, which I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I think it might have been, it was on ESPN Cleveland. Grossi might have talked about it. But they were discussing how the Browns are always kind of ahead of the trend and not in a good way. Like we were doing all this running and the tight ends and such. Nobody else was. They were just all about the passing. And now it's kind of trended back to the run game. I mean, Kenneth Walker winning the MVP and really that ground game was key for Seattle because I mean early on there were some moments where Sam Darnold was being pressured. He almost threw some picks, and I mean for the longest time it was 12-0. It was all Jason Myers. So I do have hopefully let's hope. That's all there is to it. I guess that's all I can say is we just have to have a little bit of faith, a little bit of hope here.
Always have to have hope. Yeah, I did want to ask Carter too, since you were born in Seattle. Were you happy? How happy were you to see, I guess, kind of your second favorite team win? Is it your second favorite team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any debates with kids in school? On yesterday, did you go in? Were you discussing the Super Bowl at all? Did you rep your Seahawks?
I didn't wear my Seahawks jersey. I talked a little bit about the Super Bowl with my friends, but not that much.
Not that much. I'm sure you guys were discussing other important things in life, of course. All right, so let's talk about the important things, Mike and Carter and Jacob, because the Super Bowl is more than just the game. At least it used to be. It used to be about the commercials. We talked about this as we were previewing the Super Bowl. I want to go around the room here. Carter, I'll start with you. Did you have a favorite Super Bowl commercial? If you want to chew on that for a minute, Jacob, do you have a favorite Super Bowl commercial? What was your favorite?
I do. My favorite Super Bowl commercial, I don't even know what the product was for. It was just they got all the tight ends and they were talking about tight ends.
Yes. That was for Mike and I, us old folks, when we're talking about needing to get our prostates checked. That's just lovely stuff there. It's really great. Real pucker up moment there. No, I do like that. I did like the tight end thing there. Carter, did that bring anything to the front of the forefront for you?
I mean, there weren't that there were good Super Bowl commercials, but there weren't that many really good ones.
Unless you liked AI or pharmaceutical companies, that was the theme. We were talking. I guess this is the Super Bowl where, after watching the ads, they're going to make you think you have something, and then you just use AI to self-diagnose whatever you think you have to buy that product. I think that's what they were going for.
They were. I mean, this is like the trend. They went through. We talked about this a few weeks ago, the commercials, and when we had Jay on, and we were talking about the Super Bowl commercials, and he said, "Oh, it'll probably be a bunch of pharmaceuticals." So he wasn't far off there because it was all about all about your GLP-1s, and what instead of actually treating what it was meant to treat, which is like diabetes. It's like, hey, let's get some weight loss going on here. All right, I don't want to step on a landmine here, but it is what it is. I hope that people who need those products use them in the right way. Mike, did you have did you have a favorite commercial?
I did. One stood out above the rest. It was the Ben Stiller Instacart
Yes.
one where he tries to do the flip off the top.
Yes.
Yeah, they actually have I looked at it later. There's a 2-minute version of that commercial too online.
Oh,
if you want to watch
really?
the extended version. Yeah, that one caught me off guard. I had me laughing a bit. Not expecting that.
Well, I think you guys were right. You talked about which commercials Carter had watched, and kind of you enjoyed from the prior Super Bowls. The Duncan commercial. I mean, to have I don't know. I mean, obviously they used AI with the aging for Ted Danson and others, but the fact that you have Carlton, Alfonso Ribeiro, from Fresh Prince, and you had Jaleel White, Steve Urkel.
Yep.
In there, that was pretty funny. And then who's it? Is it? It's Tom Brady popping up in there with Jennifer Aniston. The Duncan commercial might have been pretty good. I may have missed it. It must have happened in the pregame. Something about William Shatner and shatting, and I
don't remember that one either.
I heard a discussion, but apparently that must have occurred during the pregame. I did not turn on the game to even turn it over to the channel until 6:00. I just had no interest in listening to all the, yammering all afternoon. I was like, whatever.
All right, here's a hypothetical for you because same thing, like you said, you kind of turn it on, you're like, whatever, it'll come on when it comes on. We're the same way, like, well, it's fun to watch, but not a huge rooting interest. Hypothetically, when the Browns ever make the Super Bowl, would you host a party, have all your Browns friends over to watch it, or would you sit in solitude so you could just yell at TV by yourself?
Wow. Well, shoot, man, Mike, that's a good question. I mean, Jacob, what would you want? I mean, would you want to be part of a party, or would you rather be just us?
I would invite 1 or 2 friends over, but there's also not that many Browns fans around us.
Right. Would you drive to Cleveland too? Yeah. Or you could drive to Cleveland to be a part of the merriment, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I think I'd get too distracted with too many people. I feel like it'd have to be a solo, lock myself in a room, watch it, yell at the TV.
Well, what about you, Carter? What would you do? Would you want a big party if or when it's the Browns, or would you want to just be chilling by yourself or with your dad and brother or whatever, and brothers or whatever?
What I'd want is I want 2 of my close friends over, and that's it.
Your Ravens friends?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that could get dicey. Well, Mike, where were you? Okay, so this is kind of brings up an interesting question. Where were you in 2016? We may have discussed this when the Cavs won the title.
So, Game 7, I was living in the Philippines. The whole family was at the time.
Okay, I recall that.
It was this, and we were coming back for summer break. So we'd watch all 6 games in the Philippines at it's a 12-hour time difference. So we'd get up at 8 in the morning to watch the games. We happened to be flying back to Ohio with the plane expecting to land an hour before Game 7 starts.
Okay. And this is Father's Day.
We're really nervous because plane, you're always delayed, especially coming from halfway around the world. We're no way we're going to make this game. This is awful. We didn't think it'd go to Game 7 when we were making these plans. So lo and behold, though, the plane lands on time. My parents are there to pick us up. We have a 40-minute drive from Cleveland Airport down to Stowe, where my parents live. We made it, and we turned on the game with 10 minutes before it started. Unbelievable. So we were able to, we were been up for 24 hours with that flight, but we were able to watch Game 7 in Stowe with my parents. Carter was there. He was all of 4 years old. So it was pretty magical. That we made it. What about you?
Well, and right. So we went to Jacob's friend's family's house during the day, and one of the things, and I don't know about you, Nikki's not from your wife is not from Northeast Ohio. And so she doesn't have the same rooting interests, if any at all. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Although, as we've had her dad on the podcast, we know she's got football in the blood there, might be some Denver Broncos and Kansas State, etc. But, my wife, Emily, Jacob's mom, she's not from Northeast Ohio. Doesn't have really care any one way or the other, but we come home. I mean, Jacob was only 5 and almost to be about 6. And he was in bed by the time the game tipped off or just after it tipped off. And, my daughter, Aaliyah, she was in bed, but so it was just us just chilling. And I think I was quiet, especially with the kids trying to go to sleep. I had to kind of contain myself, but like, it was one of those times where it's stressful. And I rewatched the game, I guess it's slightly condensed, so it's like just under 2 hours, but I just rewatched it the other day because I got asked to be on a podcast and they're recapping each of the games, and they asked me on to talk about Game 7. And as I watched that, I could feel the stress because it was back and forth and back and forth. I don't know if I'd want to be around a giant party of people, especially like if the Browns were like one of these teams like the Chiefs or Patriots that had won it a bunch. You're like, okay, good. I'm great. No problem.
Yeah.
But the first time they make it to the Super Bowl, it's like you don't know what to feel, and it depends on who you're with. I wouldn't mind being with family, but at the same time, I don't want a lot of distractions. I am watching the game. I want people. It's like, look, if you're not watching the game, then okay, great, but I don't need you distracting me from watching the game. Also, if I'm upset now, I want to be able to be upset, whether that's angry upset, sad upset, I don't know. So I think that I'd probably keep it pretty small and very much controlled as to who I would watch the game with. Selective is the word I'd use.
You bring up a good point that I think it's different for a Browns fan watching it than it is for like a Chiefs fan or a Philly fan or someone who sees championships all the time. It seems like
right.
where we do not. So it's different. The one time we would make it.
Mike, where were you during Game 7 of the 97 World Series? Were you in your dorm room?
Yes.
Was anybody else watching with you?
Nope, I was it. I was by myself.
How are we across campus from each other, each of us individually watching the games by ourselves?
Yeah, it probably had something to do with our social standings in college at the time.
I guess. Everybody else, I guess, went out to party. Yeah. I don't know. That night, someone ripped a water fountain out from the hallway in Terrace Hall. That was ridiculous. They were very angry. They were very angry about the result of the game and Jose Mesa blowing it. So, I mean, it is one of those things. I think that in those moments that have been so few, I've kind of just been chilling. Even during the 2016 World Series, some of the games, it just happened to be my in-laws were up here. And Jacob, I don't think you watched much of it, if any at all. And maybe in your room you had it on or something. But you would have been, well, let's see. I mean, again, you would have been much younger. You'd only been 6. So, yeah, you'd have been chilling in your room. But I was watching by myself, essentially. And when they got down in that Game 7, I was like, I don't even know. I think I had flipped the channel. And then I saw that. Yeah, and I saw Rajay Davis hit the home run. I'm like, I'm going to get it back. Because to see that last out or all zeros and hear the final buzzer is just gut wrenching.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
so
we were in the Philippines again for that World Series. I took the day off work because the game started at 8 a.m. in Manila. So I'm glad I did too, because I was in no headspace to go back to work after that gut wrenching loss.
I don't know if I can take that. I just don't know if I can take that. Yeah. So I was going to ask about all the AI companies. Does anybody actually know what they do and how many of those companies will be out of business and to never be heard from again in a very short amount of time?
I know one of them. You go onto the site, right? You give them your personal information, right?
And then they run away and steal it.
Yeah. Yep. And then you unlock an AI assistant.
Okay.
and it's like, and they were advertising it as this cool, innovative thing. It's just every other AI product out there. It was the AI.com one.
So Carter, you're much more hip into all this technology than I am too. What is do you know the difference between all these AI companies? Because I don't.
They're like all the same, and they add one new feature and call it brand new. It's way better than the last. It's like, I don't know. It's like
Even all the
it's
middle schoolers aren't
nobody's impressed with it.
enthralled by it.
I think that if it's used correctly, it's really good. But I just don't understand. We have every year it's some stupid trend of things that they advertise the crap out of, and I'm just it's kind of frustrating, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. So let's see what else here. Were you guys? Did you kind of think that the Seahawks were just that dominant? And maybe we already hit on this, but just to add on here, were the Seahawks just that dominant, or were the Patriots that bad? Which was it more of? I mean, Jacob, was it Seahawks dominance or Patriots badness?
I feel like the Seattle Seahawks beat all 31 teams in that game.
Yeah,
and I think the only team who could have given them trouble would have probably been the Rams, who they just played a round before. And I think if the Rams had won that game, they were going to do the exact same thing to the Patriots, maybe a little more scoring going on.
Yeah, I kind of feel it. Carter, what do you think? Seahawks dominance or Patriots terribleness?
Patriots terribleness.
Wow. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Mike, what about you? Seahawks dominance, Patriots terribleness.
I think I'm going with Seahawks dominance as well, just with that defense.
It really was just,
because I know we saw the Patriots, played an easy schedule, but they still had a pretty explosive offense in the regular season, and they could do nothing against Seattle.
That was brutal. And I know that they've talked about there was question about Drake May's shoulder leading up to the game. But then he says it was fine. He got some sort of an injection. I assume just like a anti-inflammatory, some kind of a steroid type injection. Who knows, to get through the game. But he didn't look right, and he looked rattled from the outset. And that left side of the offensive line was it was a horror show.
Mm-hmm.
It was an absolute horror show what was going on there. Were you guys okay with Kenneth Walker being the MVP? Carter, what did you think? Did you think Kenneth Walker was the right guy to be named MVP of the game?
I mean, yeah, he was like one of the only explosive players on the Seahawks offense. He deserved it. He had a lot of rushing yards. He basically got the offense going.
All well said. Jacob, what about you? Do you think that was the right person to get the MVP?
I mean, you think everybody's like, well, what about the kicker? Well, I mean, yeah, the kicker, he did great, but who got him in range?
Yep. Well said. Well said. Mike, do you kind of concur with that, or do you have a wild card?
No, I would have loved to see the kicker run the MVP. Like, that would have been amazing, but it would have been great if they could have somehow given it to the whole defense.
Yeah. But I would love to be able to see if they could give it to like that in the entirety of the defensive line for just harassing Drake May and rendering the Patriots offense completely futile the entire night. It was absolutely crazy. I think when the game was really close, you could have argued the kicker, you could have argued Jason Myers, but then once the dam broke and Seattle started scoring some points, it was like, it ain't going to him. He kind of did what he was supposed to do. And it's not like he hit a game-winning field goal or anything of that nature. He's not doing Cam Little 70-yard field goals like down in Jacksonville. But yeah, I think it was the right player, even though he didn't end up with any touchdowns. He really, it's weird that his run, I never really paid that close of attention to him and his running style, but it was so odd, just kind of slow walking. It's kind of like, Mike, would you agree how I don't know if it was like Jim Jones talked about Ty Jerome and would describe his play last year. He kind of slow walks it and it just, it's like it's so deliberate and such.
Yeah.
Kind
You're right. Well, I think Carter needs to sign off. He's got a little bit of homework to do tonight for tomorrow. So
all right. Well, Carter, thank you very much once again for joining us. Really appreciate it. And maybe next year we'll be able to talk about the Browns winning a Super Bowl or not being the worst team in the league or something like that. But
something like that.
But enjoy. You know what? It's all good. There's always hope. There's always next year, right, buddy?
Yep.
All right, man. Hey, thank you for joining us, Carter.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. So Carter will take him out here. All right. Awesome. Okay, just a couple quick pieces of business here. Talking about the Browns. One other thing I think that came out after we were on last time was that, in fact, Jim Schwartz resigned for the Browns. Can the Browns maintain the same level of defensive play that they've had under Jim Schwartz the past couple of years? Do you think it could be better? Might it be worse? I don't know. I mean, Jacob, what do you think, losing a guy like Jim Schwartz?
Yeah, I think that the job of the new DC is to keep the basics of the old Schwartz scheme, but to elevate it. I think what they're looking for in this process is someone who has solutions to predictability and tackling.
Okay, yeah.
Those were the biggest things that you could see in the Browns defense. Maybe they get someone to run disguise in coverage, because in coverage we were showing one high looks and like it was just we went out there and we said our players are better than yours. 70-30 man split. It's just much more than that's like college level.
Yeah.
Where you're saying that your talent's just so much better than yours. So maybe they throw in some different coverages, some too high, some disguise. But overall, you're coming into an incredible situation. Just don't do too much.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Mike, what about you? What do you think of the Schwartz ultimately deciding to resign and where this defense goes from here?
Yeah. Sorry, I dropped off a little bit. So
That's
I didn't
okay.
get Jacob's answer. So if I repeat anything you said, just know that means I agree with you. Well, Todd Monken certainly thinks that you don't need Jim Schwartz to keep a dominant defense. I think he would have liked to have him stay around, but he made the point that it's the players that make the defense good, and the system's already in place. You just need to have somebody keep that system going. And I think he's probably right. It's the offense that needs help. That being said, conversely, we just saw Super Bowl won by a head coach that calls the defensive plays too. So maybe, we could have gone in that direction if we would have hired Schwartz instead and just had somebody kind of give us a mediocre offense. But we're going the opposite direction where we want to fix the offense and not let the defense slide. So that'll be interesting to see if that works or not. I mean, we will get instant results next year to see how this, if that was the right choice or not. We will see real time how this plays out by this time next year. So it's an experiment.
It's definitely, there's no one right way to do it, I guess is the best way I can say it. There's no one right way to do this. You can have an offensive-minded coach. You can have a defensive-minded coach. But that only gets you so far. And then it's about the players. I mean, we saw it. I'm sure that Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels drew up some good plays, but when the left side of the line doesn't block anybody all night, it's going to make it awfully difficult for things to work. And so it happens on other teams. It's not just a only in Cleveland type thing. We always would discuss Kevin Stefanski and he stinks. Well, you're drawing up the play and it should work, but guys aren't doing their jobs. They're not making the reads. They're missing the blocks. They're dropping the ball. They're committing the penalty. They're doing something stupid. Now, that is where the coaching, you would hope, has them all, I guess, I don't know, working in tandem and everything is going right there. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know the Jim Schwartz thing. It'll be very interesting because, again, he's still under contract, and they're reporting that apparently the NFL maybe doesn't want him to, excuse me, like my brain is not working here, so I apologize. They don't want him to just be skipping jobs and jumping out of one job and going to the next job and so on and so forth. And as opposed to letting the Browns just let him out of his contract, he is going to have to potentially sit out.
Yeah, that, or we can trade him. Trade him for a 3rd or 4th round draft pick.
Right. I think that's what I had read somewhere or heard them talking about how you could only do that for head coaches. But I mean, maybe there's still some precedent to be set here. And even if you get a late round pick, make them stew a little bit. I think that there was a miscalculation, obviously, on the Browns' part, the way they handled this. But I also don't like the way that, at least from the outside looking in, that Jim Schwartz handled it. And we'll never know what the conversations were behind closed doors. So we're going to see. But I think the defense actually, they could get better, not just because of their actual, like their performance can get better by way of the offense getting better.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They're not on the field as much,
and they're playing if they're playing with a lead.
Yeah, you play differently that way. Absolutely. That's a good point.
So we'll see what happens there. The other news, a couple of things. One, I know that I just saw that apparently the Browns are hiring someone who is with a special teams coach with the Packers. I think it's Brian Storer. I'm gonna have to double check that, so don't quote me on that. But we're hiring him for special teams coordinator. And apparently Deuce Staley is going to stick around as running backs coach, as far as I just saw prior to us coming on. Last night on Instagram, David Njoku and all social media, David Njoku posted essentially a farewell, as it doesn't, he's going to be a free agent. He's not going to be under contract, and it appears the Browns are not going to be re-signing him, which is no surprise here. Mike, are you in any way were you shocked by that at all?
No, I mean, he's been hurt, it seems like, the last 2 seasons quite a bit. And then when you draft Fannin, who's very productive this season, you kind of saw the writing on the wall. So, he was good for the team for the first few years we had him, which is great, but probably not worth the money right now when we're already cash strapped. So I get what they're doing. It was a nice letter he wrote, thanking Cleveland for everything. So
I think he will be well remembered in Cleveland. Even though there was that point in time when he was asking for a trade, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. They love doing that. Well, and Jacob, I'll get your thoughts on the Njoku move and stuff, but I want to ask Mike a question, then I'll have you give your answer as well. What if you were like talking to David Njoku or talking about David Njoku, what is your kind of fondest recollection of his time in Cleveland, whether it be on the field, off the field, or otherwise?
So the one play that sticks out in my mind, and I remember this because I was watching this, I think this is what really got Carter and Alex excited about the Browns. I don't remember who they were playing or what year it was, but do you remember the 4th down one-handed touchdown catch he made to win the game? It might have been against the Dolphins like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow, I don't know. I remember the touchdown pass he caught to tie the game against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But I don't remember that. But okay, I'm
gonna look it up as Jacob answers, and I'll come back with the one I'm thinking of. But
definitely. Jacob, were you shocked at all about this move, or does this also come as no surprise? And if there was one thing, moment of David Njoku's Cleveland Browns legacy that you specifically recall or stands out to you?
No, this was not a surprising move at much all. If we're assuming the plan is that Monken's going to bring in some of the guys from Baltimore, and that as the writing was on the wall this year of how Fannin played, and it was looking to be pretty obvious that Njoku would be just too much money And at this point, the for what we could get out of a cheaper guy would probably be about equivalent to what we were going to get out of Njoku.
Okay, okay. And was there any one particular, like in watching Njoku play, anything that stands out to you?
I think this is more off the field, but the way he cared so much about Flacco
Yes,
and his
yes.
relationship with him, as that is, and I knew he was excited this season when Flacco was announced as starter, because he's like a contract year. Last time I balled out with him, I got a bunch of yards. He was thinking he had money on his mind. Unfortunately, Flacco had something else on his mind.
Well, the Browns also had something else on their mind, and they underperformed, and that's a whole other ball of wax, huh? That's a whole other ball of wax. Well, I'll go back to you, Mike. Were you able to determine or find this play that you were thinking of?
Yeah, that's the one you were talking about. November 27th, 2022, when he made the game-tying touchdown against the Tampa Bay Bucks
From
on
Jacoby
4th and
Brissett.
10.
From Brissett.
And they ended up winning the game in overtime.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was an amazing game. I guess for me, I'm like you guys, not shocked in the least. And I think that, a heck of a career. To have a 9-year career with the Browns is actually pretty impressive. And you think about it, that draft class was the first rounders. It was Garrett, Julius Hot Peppers, and David Njoku. And Njoku going 9 seasons. So let's see, 384 catches, 4,062 yards, 34 touchdowns. I'll remember just some of the great plays of him bulldozing and leaping over people. He would early on obviously make some great catches, but then drop some super easy ones. Certainly, I think I'm not alone in this memory. Him going out and playing after he had caught himself on fire.
Yeah.
His face burnt up, his hands burnt up. That's pretty courageous. And I think he was a good ambassador, a very good ambassador for Cleveland. Again, he had his moment where he was requesting a trade, but just a good ambassador overall. So farewell to David Njoku. He's going to be one of those guys. I'll kind of he's might be leaving on slightly more of his terms, sort of, than Joe Hayden, but he's the type of guy you know that he'll always be welcome back. Always be welcome back and be considered part of the Browns. So I think that ties up a lot of loose ends. Jacob, did you have any other thoughts on the Browns or the Super Bowl or anything? And
I think maybe one other thing is maybe what we do to replace Njoku.
Yeah.
So I think what is the most likely is Monken's going to bring in Isaiah Likely as tight end 2 and Charlie Kohler as the blocking tight end 3, both from the Ravens, to kind of have having a good 2 option. I think Isaiah Likely, would be a good number 2 option and could definitely make some plays, and also has maybe more blocking ability than Fannin did, and would be better at that 2 spot and promoting Fannin up to 1 to do a lot more pass catching.
Well, yeah, and I think that there's some parts of Harold Fannin's game that have to be worked on, but I think that that's just part of the maturation process. Getting him a little bit bigger, blocking, etc. Those types of things. But like you mentioned, you bring in a guy like Kohler as a blocking tight end, that makes a big difference. And Likely is a very good offensive producer. Certainly, he picked up some of the slack when Mark Andrews wasn't playing. So, I wouldn't mind that at all. Absolutely. So, good deal. Jacob, we are going to move on to the Cavs. You can stick around if you'd like. If not, you can head on out, sir.
All right, I'll head on out. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Right. We'll be chatting again soon. Maybe even tonight later.
Let me one last thing.
Wait, what you got?
The Super Bowl 61 logo, which should predict the 2 teams that are gonna be in next year's Super Bowl, right? That's the conspiracy theory. So what I've heard is, if you haven't seen it, it's LXI. It's the blue wave against like a sunsetting background.
All right, Dolphins are in, right?
Dolphins and the Bears with the orangish color.
Yep.
But I see orange and brown in there too. I see orange and brown.
That's what I've seen that as well.
So
hey, there is orange.
Throw that out there.
There is orange.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's hope, but then
so place your bets now. Odds are going to be good. You'll get good odds. Place your bets now.
We've got a terrible. Our schedule is going to be bad.
Yeah.
Our schedule is not going to. We have an opportunity. You already have a defense that has tremendous players on it, barring injury. You have an opportunity there, and if you can continue to build a dominant defense and get even mediocre, middle of the pack offense, who knows?
Super Bowl, calling it here.
I like it. I love it. All right, Jacob, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah. All right, see ya.
See ya. All right, Mike. Well, we've had a chance here to break down all this football, but you know what's actually getting very exciting? Come on, Cavs. Got to make it happen. Do. You're repping the Evan Mobley. I got my my Cavs hat on here. Right after we finished the podcast last week, the trade was announced that Darius Garland was being sent to the Clippers and a second-round pick in exchange for James Harden. You add that up with the trades already, the DeAndre Hunter, which netted us Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder. And then we sent Lonzo Ball packing to the moon. I think we sent him to the Jazz, which is close enough for, somewhere around something like that. I guess we talked a little bit about what our thoughts were on the potential of the move and such. But now that that's actually happened, and you've even had a couple of games to watch it, I mean, what are your feelings on it at this point?
Yeah, I think so. What I said last week was I would not like that trade. And it more had to do with Harden's attitude, excuse me, more than his skill or anything like that.
Right.
We talked about, one sec. Sorry about that. We talked about how Harden has better stats than Garland. You can't dispute that.
No.
But we might not just want the drama that comes with him from a guy that's requested trades like for the last 6 years or
everywhere
like that.
Everywhere he's been, he requests a trade.
Yeah. Now we have a 2-game sample here, and the 2-game samples look pretty good with him on the court, and everything says that he's actually really good with the new team he goes to in that first year before, for whatever reason, he gets disgruntled. So maybe this window is this year, and that would be okay. If this gets us over the top for this year with him, and he's producing and he's happy and he doesn't cause drama, then I guess that trade will be worth it to trade it in for one more championship. And if you can maybe we only have him for one more year after this. It's a team option, I believe, for next year.
Right.
So you can either cut ties now, or you keep him for one more year, hoping he will still be happy one more year, and then you're done with him. So I get it. I guess I'm, after seeing these last 2 games too, I'm not angry about it. It seems like it could work. So, and Garland, like you said, availability, that's the biggest key. And he wasn't available. And he won't be for a while. So, I'm warming to it. We'll see how it plays out, but I kind of like it now. I'm changing my mind from what I said last week.
But that's okay. And I think that's where people get caught up. They want to have an opinion, and then they don't want to admit that they were like, maybe on second thought. And it's like, it's fine. I'd much rather go into it and think about it. And okay, you can feel however you feel, but be willing to re-examine it at some point. I'm very excited about the move. I like what we saw these first 2 games, although, as you and I discussed earlier, the box score shows the starters absolutely stunk in the first game he was in. That was the one at Sacramento, and the bench carried the team. And last night, it was conversely. The starters carried the way. There wasn't as much contribution and the plus minus from the bench. It was all about the starters. Do you think that this, for fans, and you kind of touched on it, was more upsetting the move of Darius Garland from the perspective of they like Darius Garland. He's seemed like a good kid and a likable figure.
Yeah, I agree, and also the longest tenured Cav at this point. He kind of started the rebuild to what we have now, and then there's anything we know about Cleveland fans, we're very nostalgic and we like to hold on to these like blue collar players. Yes. And he was like that, and you could tell he always tried, gave a good effort.
Yeah,
but winning will cover that up too. If we can win with Harden, people will still like Garland, but they will be okay that we shipped him away.
Hey, and I think if they were to win a title this year, I think Garland would get a ring. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I think he would get a ring, and that's pretty cool. That'd be kind of a win-win situation for everybody there, and such. Did you stay up last night to watch the game? I mean, I know you had to get up early, but
well, I'm drinking coffee right now. I did stay up and watch the whole game last night and the Sacramento game a couple nights before that. Yeah, it's been some late nights, but they were fun games to watch. Both of them were.
Yeah, I listened to the game. I couldn't find a dodgy stream on the night whenever they played Sacramento, so I listened. I stayed up late to listen to the game, and certainly yesterday I did find a dodgy stream to watch the game, and it was well worth it. It was absolutely well worth it. I mean, the Cavs trailed that by as many as 11 points in the fourth quarter. They mount this comeback. The only lead they had in the fourth quarter is when Donovan Mitchell hit those 2 free throws with 9/10 of a second left on the clock. And essentially, they started the game up 6-0. The Nuggets caught them, passed them, and the Cavs were playing catch-up all night long. They tied it a few times. Maybe they had a 1-point lead for a brief second. But they were chasing them all night, and I felt like they're so close. They're in this. Can they just get this one more basket? And didn't come until the end, but I mean, what stood out to you last night about this win, a big win? And we're going to keep in mind here, the Cavs are still without Evan Mobley. And last night, the Nuggets were without front court players like Aaron Gordon and Spencer Jones. They're also without Peyton Watson. So they're a little bit shorthanded as well. But I mean, what were your takeaways from last night's game?
Yeah, so what immediately stood out to me last night was this was the opposite of the Miami Heat game that we lost in the last second. Do you remember that game?
Yes.
We had a bucket and tied it up, or we were up by 1. I forget what it is, with like 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds. They tossed an inbound alley-oop, and we lost the game on like a
and
dunk
Jarrett
with, like,
Allen wasn't on the floor.
seconds.
And Jarrett Allen wasn't on the floor.
And this was the exact opposite, where we actually had the medal with 0.9 seconds to come back and win. And our team's the one that kept fighting back and had, it seemed like, more of the mental toughness, where we just collapsed in the Miami game. And just to see that switch, like the dichotomy of those two games, and especially seeing this one now later in the season after kind of switching our lineup around, that gave me encouragement. And then you mentioned Jarrett Allen. He was a beast on this trip out west too. And if we can get that kind of production, and maybe the silver lining to Mobley's injury is that he is getting more of a chance to show his skill set. And if he can keep that up when Mobley comes back, I think that'll be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Is that on coaching though, to make sure that he's involved as opposed? I mean, and how do you solve for that? Because it always seems like when Mobley's out, Allen will step up and he can have those monster games. And then other times he's just kind of chilling out and and up in the clouds. And it's like, dude, you got to play like this every night.
Well, and that leads to the bigger question too. What are we going to do when Mobley, Max Strus, Dean Wade come back? Because yesterday, we had 10 players play.
Right.
And that doesn't include those 3 who are staples. They're starters, essentially. They've been starters, all season. And Strus will be when he comes back. Who doesn't get the playing time? How are they going to fit? Now, it's a good problem to have. We have a lot of talented players, and some are going to have to sit. But what are they going to do?
I don't know. Is Tyson going to come off the bench, or is he going to stay? So, look, we know that when Mobley comes back, it should be Allen, Mobley, Harden, Mitchell, and would it be Tyson, or is it Strus?
Now, I think it's going to have to be Tyson until Strus gets his legs back. And
Okay.
he may not even get him back till the playoffs.
He may not.
He comes back. So it may be, I think you stick with Tyson, let that starting unit gel, and just Strus this year is just going to have to come off the bench and you reevaluate next year.
That's fine with me. I'm perfectly okay with that. You talk about we just gave Naquan Tomlin. They made the room on the roster. They opened up a roster spot. Naquan Tomlin signed a full deal with the Cavs. He is no longer a two-way player from the G League, which is amazing. I believe it's 2 years for $3 million, so $1.5 million a year. Not too shabby. It'll only take me 20 years at my current salary to earn one of those years. So, hey, I'd say that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
He's pretty good. No, I mean, I wonder is who's going to be on the outside looking in, I think, or will it be game dependent?
Yeah, good question. And because we have this good problem, it's too late now because the draft deadline's passed, but do you trade now some of our players maybe in the offseason for more draft picks? Because we don't have a lot of draft picks coming up to try to, if this does work and sustains, you need to replenish your expensive players with some cheap rookies coming in, and we don't have a lot of draft picks. Do we want to eventually, I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves here.
No, that's fair.
Trade some of, because we have talent now and our young guys are actually developing. Do we keep some of our young guys and maybe trade for some future first rounders? But yes, who is going to lose playing time? I mean, when's the last time you saw Larry Nance play? I know he's been hurt.
A couple. But, it was on this road trip. There was at least one game I saw. He was in there. It might have been the terrible performance at Phoenix. And the way we started this road trip at Phoenix, I was like, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
And then we end up ripping off the next 4. And in the standings, I don't know if you've peeked at it. I mean, we're 7 out from the top spot. I don't know that we're going to be able to catch Detroit, although they might be without a couple players for a few games due to the brouhaha last night in Charlotte. We are a game and a half behind each of the Knicks and the Celtics. We could certainly catch them. We've got a very tough stretch. We've got one more game before the All-Star break. We take on the Wizards at home, but of course the Wizards took a belt to bottom to Detroit.
Yeah.
Within the past week. So I don't know. I think Craig Porter might kind of suffer from the additions we made, unfortunately. And last night his size really showed. They were exposing him. He didn't have a great game. He's going to have a tough time finding minutes there. Thomas Bryant may not have as many minutes, although I really like him. He could just be. There's going to be some guys who are key role players. I think you're going to be looking at about 4 deep off the bench, and after that, it's going to be kind of dicey.
Yeah. And what we were talking about, and you mentioned too, is like the different plus minuses about how the bench really carried the team in Sacramento and the starters carried them in Denver. I like how this team is adapting and winning in different ways too. And that we may have to do that with the players. Like you said, Porter might not be good against some matchups, but we might need him for his defense, during certain stretches too. So
his energy.
And same with like Tomlin, and with Bryant. So I would be okay if they, hopefully we utilize them like that and just don't forget about them. I would like to see them come in and use them for that.
Okay, let me ask you one last Cavs question here as we're approaching the hour mark here. I want to get this finished up here. What do you think the biggest challenge will be for the Cavs to make a deep run in the playoffs?
I think it's 2 things: injuries. If they can finally rebound from all these injuries they've had, stay healthy in the playoffs, because that's what's hurt them in the last couple playoffs.
Yeah.
And 2, can this team gel enough? Because I think the quote yesterday from Donovan was, we're just vibing right now, or something like that, because they haven't been able to practice together. I think they should be able to, come playoff time, when you have all these days off, they can, and that's still 2 months away. But can this team gel and get a good set and rotation going and figure that out with 2 months until the playoffs are coming?
Yeah, I kind of think the Cavs just have to not beat themselves. I think we've got a very good chance in the Eastern Conference. The Pistons are going to be scrappy. They're young. We'll see if they have the playoff medal, but we've seen teams like this before, and and we've got the experience on our side. The Knicks are going to be a very tough out because they are so feisty, and they play hard. But I know Mike Brown has problems with adjustments, and the Celtics, well, they live and die by the three. Although there's this discussion about possibly Tatum being able to come back, I don't know. But we'll see. We got a long way to go. One more game before the All-Star break. Take on the Wizards. I know you're going to be watching the terrible dunk contest, but I'll be watching the three-point shootout. I want to see Spida in the three-point shootout. And have you been watching any of the Olympics?
We just had on curling right before this.
Curling.
I'm still trying to figure out the rules. I don't understand them, but it's fascinating.
It is. I do. I got into it a couple Olympics ago. They really started showing it. Fantastic stuff. It was a great mixed doubles gold medal match there. Exciting stuff. And it was exciting in the semifinal against Italy for sure. And the women's hockey mopped up on Canada. So that was a good day. That was a very good day. Well, why don't you tell us, Mike, what has you going nuclear this week?
Okay. This is concerning the halftime show at the Super Bowl, and has nothing to do with politics or any of that. It has to do with why was there no dancing bushes? So if you realize that I think it's actually sugar canes, all the sugar cane field around the stage was actually people dressed up.
Yes.
Because it was just easier, as I read later, for them to get, set up and then decamp the set if they're actually people moving in. So my question is, well, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You could have had a great breakout dance session with these dancing sugarcane bushes, and instead they just stood there and did nothing. Why would you not incorporate them into any of those dance numbers? It would have been fantastic, like dancing Left Shark or whatever when Katy Perry was up there. It could have stolen the show. It's just such a missed opportunity. By the way, I heard those guys got paid like $1,700 to do that, be a standing sugar cane with all the rehearsals and stuff they had to do. So
like, you think about it like, hey, I put on my resume. It's like I was in the halftime show at the Super Bowl, with Bad Bunny. Oh, you were? What'd you do?
Right.
I was a sugar cane plant. I was just standing there.
Just know I was there. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. Well, I agree. Well, I'm going to go a little off my beaten path here. And what has me going nuclear this week, Mike, is why is it every time I take my car to to get service that it's just a nightmare waiting to happen? Every time you go in for service, there's always something. It's not just we need to top off your fluid or something like that. It's always like, this probably should be replaced, and it's going to be expensive. Now, it doesn't have to be done right then, but it's inevitably coming. So what has me going nuclear this week is just, why can't taking my car to get service be simple and not make me worry about going broke?
Yes. I can totally relate. Yeah.
I know. Well, Mike, thank you very much as always. Appreciate you being on. Let Carter know. Thank him for joining us as well. Folks, that is going to do it for us here tonight. Of course, want to thank Collected and Connected and Good Vibes community. Thank you for everybody who chimed in, was in the comments there, following along. Thanks, Paulie Campione, for having us as part of the community. And so, for Mike Rasinski, I'm Ethan Greenberg, and you've been tuned in to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land.